Well, the $14 billion backlog is not something that just cropped up this last session. It was something that we were all told was going to be fixed about 8 years ago, and here we are 8 years later, and it's just growing and growing and growing. And in my district, there's a little bridge down on Sligo Road right next to one of the nicest golf course developments in Bossier Parish, and our people have to drive 5 to 10 miles out of the way to take their kids to Parkway High School because there is a bridge that's on that list that was never updated, and so it just fell apart. It literally is not there, and we don't know when it's going to be fixed. We don't know how it's going to be fixed, and we don't know what the priorities are. As far as a plan, you have to start at a 30,000 Google Earth type viewpoint and look at this problem, and you can't see that anthill for the mountain of the budget, and the budget is a huge problem. We don't ask the government to do much when we own a small business, not much at all. Just educate our kids, fix some roads, and if somebody gets in enough trouble, put them in prison and treat them humanely. That's basically the basics. Now, they get off into all these other things that really don't help us, and when they do that, there's not money left. At my house, my wife's a PhD psychologist, and I'm a lawyer, and we've been dating for 25 years, and if we have a money issue or a budgeting issue, we talk about it at the kitchen table, and we have priorities. Everybody I know pays their mortgage first and their homeowner's insurance second, and then everything else is we can cut there. Well, what we've seen, and it's not just with the Jindal administration, but with the last 3 or 4, is that there's really no budgeting priority, and if you think you have a little thing that you want to get funded, you put it in a constitutional amendment real quick so that it can't be changed during the legislative session when somebody thinks of a better idea. Department of Transportation has a good plan, and they have a good way of doing these things. It is just not properly funded. I don't know of any candidate that can truly look you in the eyes and say, hey, this is a plan to stop a $14 billion backlog, because this isn't just specific to Louisiana. It's happening all over the country. But I do know this, is that when we sit down and we realize in January that we're in crisis mode, everything is on the table. And what will happen when a client comes to me and say, Ryan, I've got $108,000 in credit card debt and I make $60,000 a year. I'll say, well, you're in crisis mode. We get to go over here to Fannin Street, and we get to talk to somebody called a bankruptcy judge who will walk you through the process of what's important in your life and what's not. You see? And that's where we kind of are as a state. We have to have a come-to-Jesus meeting with the budget, and transportation is one of the things that we have to get right, or businesses will not come here. People say, Ryan, are you worried about the border between Mexico and Texas? And I said, no, I'm more worried about the border between Louisiana and Texas. Because I graduated high school in 1992 as valedictorian in my class. I could not pay people to come back from my class who were in Austin, San Antonio, and Dallas. You see, they went there for school, and they stayed there. They met their sweetheart, they got married, and they're gone. Now, how does that deal with roads and stuff? Our best and brightest that we spend all this money educating, they're not contributing to the tax base that helps pay for the taxes for the backlogs of roads and infrastructure. So the plan would be to look at as a state senator, I'd look at all the needs in the state, because some are critical to business. And then we have to prioritize those down like you would in any small business. That's just not happening right now. So.